Hey, everybody out there in TV land. Mike Donahue here with my buddy Steve. Oh, hey, Steve, how's it going, buddy?
It's going good, man. Right out my window here yesterday, it snowed. It'll snow in Seattle occasionally, maybe once or twice a year, if we're lucky. I like snow. I love snow. And it's kind of a weird dichotomy. What's the word I would use here? Oxymoron. Two things that don't seem to, because outside my window here is the most gorgeous cherry blossom tree. And it blossoms for like a week or two every year. And that's it. And then it goes back to the auburn red kind of brownish leaves. Okay, still pretty, but when it blooms, it's gorgeous. Blooming says springtime is coming, right? Well, yesterday it snowed all day. It started at like 3 or 4 in the morning, snowed all the way until last night. We got several inches, and it was beautiful, Mike. It was coming down these big old heavy wet flakes, and they were sitting on that tree, and that tree was. I had to go out and I had to shake off the snow off of them because the branches were coming all the way down into my into the yard, and it was going to break the tree, so I had to go up there and try to shake off the snow. But it was cool to see spring and winter at the same point. But it was just gorgeous.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I got to go skiing this week. I was skiing with my buddy Brian. I do another podcast called Groom.connect, and he's my partner there. And we went up and skied for one day. I was going to do 2 days, but he's a beast, and he just ran me off around the mountain. So my legs were spaghetti by the end of the day. So I just did one day, but it was great. So, well, Steve-O, we're going to talk today about the generation gap. We've been chatting about it. This is our third podcast, by the way. And if you're following us and you're curious about this, we're going to keep fixing the plane while it's in the air and figuring out, how to communicate what we're trying to say. The whole idea of two old white men is the idea that there's a stigma out there that two old white men, in our generation, how things are going, we can't understand this younger generation because of, the gap, and because of, we're stuck in our ways. And one of the things that Steve and I are trying to combat with that is to let people know that, no, there's a lot of stuff inside of us that we can contribute to young people. And I make a living doing that. So part of me, I'm lucky because I get to go into schools and talk to kids about life things and, value and what's important to them. And it's kind of interesting because I am older. I'm 63. So I walk in, they know that, I look a little younger, but not much younger. I still look like their grandfather. So I walk in and they're like, this guy, what's he got to say to me? And what I love, what happens in the first 10 minutes, their earbuds will come out because I start saying things that matter to them. And I think that's what Steve and I want to do is, first of all, I think acknowledge the fact that a lot of the gap between adults and young people it's a lack of communication, right? If you ask the normal like kid growing up in high school, do you think older people have something to offer young people? They would say, yeah. I don't think they go, no, they're dumb, they're idiots. I think they would go, yeah, there is things there. And then if you ask the adults our age, is there something you can give to these young people? They would say, yeah, of course, because I've lived life. I've raised kids. I've built businesses. I've worked for people. I've been fired. I've been hired. I've been, whatever, all these life experiences that, I've been in love, all that stuff. Yeah, there's so much that we have that we can give. I've made mistakes. I can share those mistakes. But that communication gap is why it doesn't get translated. That's frustrating to me sometimes because I see these great adults that have all this great stuff. Case in point, I was up in Colorado and Brian and I met a couple, and the lady was a lawyer and a high powered lawyer in an Eastern, I won't say which state, but in an Eastern state. And I mean, worked on political stuff, like high volume. I don't want to give it away, but like real big stuff, political stuff. And she's 65 and now she is volunteering up in the mountains, like just helping out skiers during the day, giving them water. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But as I unpacked it with her and talked to her a little bit about it, she was like, well, I like, yeah, I have all this knowledge, all this like law knowledge and, experience building a practice and having people work for me and that kind of stuff. But she goes, I don't have a platform to share that in a volunteer way. And I thought, wow, what a shame, because I mean, no offense again to handing out water, that's and to skiers, but here's this lady handing out water to skiers as skiers are skiing by her, taking the water from her, not realizing who they just took water from. They took
Right.
water from a lady who's got some incredible knowledge, right? And an experience that if she had a platform to share that in a volunteer way, then it would be awesome. And maybe she's not there at that point, but I felt her frustration because she was like, you know, yeah, I don't mind handing out water because it's not an ego thing. It's just I've got this knowledge and I'm handing out water. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense, Steve?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, well said, Mike. Makes me want to listen to our podcast. I really like how you worded that. Secondly, I love the idea of, we call it a generation gap, but it's a communication gap. It's not a generation gap. When you call it a generation gap, it just basically says, well, there's no hope because we're different
Right.
generations, so you can't gap that. It's not true. When you call it a communication gap, that puts the onus on me. That puts responsibility on me to communicate better, not just expect them to communicate better to me, but I got to communicate better. And thirdly, the thing that you said about, that high powered individual, that woman she was giving away water because she didn't have a platform. She didn't know what else to do. So she at least found something to do to hand out water, but she could do so much more if she had that platform. I don't know how you think about this, but to me, it seems like, we look at platforms, we think of social media, we think of fame, we think of a lot of that stuff, right? But really, Mike, I'm giving you a platform today. I'm giving you a platform to speak into my life. And if I would learn to give time to people that are not of my generation or not of my race or not of my political affiliation or not of my whatever, that I normally wouldn't relate to them in any form. If I would just ask questions or listen or respect them, I kind of give them, because I guarantee you, when she hands out water, well, it happened with you. She handed out water to you, right? Next thing you know, you're having this conversation. You ended up giving her a platform, and how good it must have felt for her to say, hey, here's who I am. Here's how I want to help. And how she felt honored at the end because of how you
Right.
just didn't take water from her. You gave her a platform in your life.
Right. And that was interesting that you said that, because when I started asking her questions about her law firm and the way she did things, she came alive. I mean, she had so much to say. And then, because of this other uh, podcast I do with church related stuff, we started talking about that and the whole law part of that. And she was like giving me advice. She was like just sharing stuff that I walked out of there going, I'm really glad I met her because of that. And what I kept thinking about is she struggling? Like, I don't know. I didn't get into this in-depth conversation with her, but I don't know if she was like, I want to share this stuff with this generation, even on a volunteer basis, but I feel like they don't like me. I feel like because I'm older and I'm 65, they're going to look at me like I'm a know-it-all. Yesterday, I was talking to these kids at high school, and I asked them, what do you think the issue is with adults being able to share into your life? Like, why doesn't that happen more? And this girl just raised her hand. She goes, because sometimes we feel like they don't really want to listen to what we have to say.
Wow.
And I thought that's pretty valid. Like that comes off sometimes, we as adults, when we're in a teaching mode, because it doesn't always have to come through a teaching, like, sit down, let me share,
Right.
my wisdom with you. That's kind of patronizing, right? That
Right.
feels like you're like, I'm stupid, you're smart, I'll just sit here and let you talk to me, right? And that's not transactional. That doesn't feel like it's transactional. You and I just had a conversation before we hit play on this, right? And we were having a transactional conversation. We were going back and forth and listening to each other and then talking. and from a mutual respect point of view, from a mutual, because I really respect you tons, so I listen to
Same.
you, and I think you respect me. So, but that mutual respect isn't there sometimes from the perspective of a young person. So they automatically perceive that, oh, like these adults don't like me, they don't value me, they don't appreciate me. So yeah, I'll sit and listen to you rant at me for whatever you want to talk about, phones, you want to talk about, my grades, whatever. I'll let you give your opinion, but this isn't transactional because you're not listening to me.
Yeah,
What do you think of that?
it goes back to that statement. I'm probably going to butcher it a little bit, but um, listen. It was something about don't listen to be heard, listen to listen. Do you know which statement I'm saying there?
Yeah,
Do you know what it is?
don't listen to talk,
Yeah, don't listen
don't
to yeah.
respond, listen to understand.
Yeah, don't listen to respond, listen to understand. Yeah, that's much closer to the whole thing.
Right.
And Mike, it kind of that bums me out. It makes me a little sad because of that mentality. It kind of hamstrings someone who has something to offer. Because there's so many times, I don't know if you've ever been here before, but there's so many times, like, I love to care for people. I love to encourage people. That's one of my favorite things I love to do. But sometimes if I'm not given the platform to do that, or if I get lumped in with, the adults that didn't listen to them in the past, I just got to step back and say, well, I mean, what can I do at that moment? And it's a bummer because I would love to encourage them, but I understand where they're coming from. They're like, they've been burned by somebody my age or something that happened in the past. And so I, I, I like how you worded it too. One of the best things you can do at that point is to just listen, converse. Communication isn't about, I like how you worded that a lot. Communication isn't about teaching. Communication is about listening. It's about communicating. It's about where you're coming from. And I might have a thing in my mind where, like, I could really help this person out, but sometimes the best way to help them out is to simply listen to them instead. And if that door opens up, then I walk through that. But to try to push that door open, that's kind of a breach of, a breach of privacy, in my opinion. And I think just asking questions and listening, and then let the conversation go where it may. And if you have something to offer, let them ask you about that first. Let them open up. You'll get a lot further in that situation, in my opinion.
So yesterday I was at a high school, about 500 kids, and the first thing I do when I get serious before I get into any of it, with the shoes, any of it, I look at them and I go, how many of you in this room don't like it when adults like me come into your school and treat you guys like you're little kids? Raise your hand. And all their hands,
Yeah.
obviously go up. And then I say, well, I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to do that. But this serves as a trigger warning because I am going to talk about some stuff that gets real. I'm going to be real with you, right? And automatically, Steve, when I say that, you can feel the tension in the room come down a little bit, because what's the tension? The tension is, here's a white adult in his 60s standing in front of 500 15 through 18-year-olds and going to communicate life concepts to them. So automatically they're like, who is this guy, right? And what has he got to say to me, right? So by saying that, like, here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to rant at you. I'm not going to treat you like you're stupid. I'm going to treat you like you're an adult. That you can feel it in the room, right? And then later on I say, then I tell my story a little bit. And then there's a part where I say to them, you how arrogant of me. Well, what I say is, if I had my 5 kids was sitting right here in front of me, I would say the same thing. I don't care what you're doing as far as your behavior goes. A lot of people want me to, right? I get paid to, actually. Like, they bring assembly speakers in to talk about vaping, to talk about substance abuse, to talk about alcohol. These are all the behavior issues that the kids are like, please don't come in and yell at me about vaping, right? Just, like, let's have a conversation. So I say this, I say, I didn't come in here to tell you not to do that. I came in to ask you why you're doing it. Why? Like, nobody comes out of the womb doing drugs. Nobody comes out of the womb cutting their skin with something sharp. Nobody comes out of the womb wanting to shoot up their school. Something got you there. I'm interested in the why. And then I'll say something like, how arrogant of me to come in here and like try to tell you what to do without knowing you, like without knowing why. And that's why I think the disconnect when we were talking about the beginning of this, the disconnect from the communication piece is that they need to hear that. They need to hear that somebody wants to know why they're doing it, right? Why am I self-medicating? Like, let's get to that instead of camping out on the behavior. Like, don't do that. Don't vape. Don't drink. Don't. Like that's all they hear us saying. But when you go, I don't care about that. I don't do it. Whatever. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying I get it. I get it. But let's look at the reason. Let's look at why. And
Yeah.
that's honoring. I think that's honoring to them.
Yeah. And to those of you that are watching, we really appreciate you watching and liking and subscribing, all that type stuff. I just want to say that I've been able to be a part of Mike's assembly program. I've even done it many times. But
He's
Mike,
good. He's
one of
really
my
good.
favorite things to do is listen to sit. And I've heard your assembly program over and over again. I've done it many times as well. I know where you're going to head next. I know what you're going to say next. It's always different though. You always adapt to the
Tweak it.
crowd, right? But one of my favorite things to do in life is to sit in that school auditorium and listen and watch the connection between your heart and theirs. And when the earbuds come out, it is one of the most powerful things. And I wish everybody could experience you in one of those assemblies. I said all that to say this. Let me ask you this question. How do you think your assembly would go if you didn't, at that point when you used to get serious, if you didn't ask that question? How many of you have ever felt, whatever question that you asked, how do you think that, when you got vulnerable with them and said, you don't want to be yelled at by an adult, or you've ever been yelled at by an adult, how would your assembly go if you didn't preface that assembly, that part, with that question? How do you think it would go if you didn't do that?
It would be tough because again, you're dealing with communication perceptions, right? They have a perception that I could be defensive and go, you shouldn't have that perception because you don't know Mike Donahue. Mike Donahue is a great guy. I've done all these things. Here's my resume, blah, blah, blah. They always try to read my resume or my bio before the assembly. And yeah, you have to let them, because that's their protocols, whatever. But I don't like it because what it's saying to those kids is, here's why you should listen to him. He's written books. He lives in Boston, blah, 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 whatever the bio says. I didn't even write it, but one time they read it and I was like, who wrote that? Like, I don't even know who wrote it. I think AI wrote it. I whatever. But the bottom line is that communication piece is my responsibility. I feel like it's my responsibility if I'm going to be standing in front of them wanting to share some things I have from my life to them, then I've got to answer some questions they're already asking. They're already asking, why should I listen to this guy? So that's the first thing I do is go, here's one of the reasons is I'm not going to yell at you today. I'm not going to treat you like your little kid. And there's a couple of times in there that I get really, very real. And I go, listen, I told you at the beginning of this, I'm not going to treat you like baby. So here we go. I did do drugs. I say that to him. I did do drugs. And it wasn't because I was self-medic. I mean, it wasn't because it was peer pressure. It was because I was self-medicating. I liked it. And I stop him and I go, listen, what an adult just said to you. An adult just said to you that I like drugs. But when I was your age, I told you I'm not going to treat you like babies. That's the truth. But the other part of that truth is this. It wasn't because I was getting high. It's because I was getting numb. And as soon as I say that, Steve, it's like they go, thank you. Thank you. That's right. You're not just stereotyping me that I'm a bad kid because I want to vape. I'm a bad kid because I want to drink. I'm a bad kid. No, there's a reason. There's pain involved. There's self-medication involved. There's escape involved. So when I acknowledge that in my own life and then say, listen, I'm not giving you permission to do this stuff. I'm just saying, I get it. I get why you're tempted to do it. Now let's talk about that.
Yeah. So good, Mike. It's so good. So good. Well said. I mean, I've been there. I've watched that happen. And, I think it's, I mean, let me get real too. I mean, there's a part of me that wants to show up and say, hey, I'm kind of a big deal. Right. Right. And honestly, you
could say this. I'm not wearing pants right now. Like, isn't that what?
How did you know? Can you? Because the camera cuts it off, right?
Yeah,
But
there was a defensiveness, right? It's like I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that's going to disrespect you. But yeah, go
yeah,
ahead. I'm so
no,
I
go
cut you
ahead,
off.
go.
No,
Yeah, I
no,
like
no.
where you're
You go
going.
ahead. I want to hear what you said.
Just where I think that you're going right there. I mean, I want to let them know I'm a big deal, and truth is, they're a big deal too. We are all big deals, and sometimes as human beings, I'll just talk about myself. I want to say, hey, I have something to offer. I am a big deal. You should listen to me. But that doesn't create listening. That doesn't create communication. It might with some people, but with the people that I'm really trying to reach, it's not going to. And one thing that I've learned from you and was even refreshed with you, with my conversation with you earlier today, if I want them to see me as a big deal, the best way I can do that is to listen,
Yeah.
is to honor, is to ask them questions, is to even apologize for what maybe I didn't do, but what my generation or the people they might stereotype me in. And I'm not just talking about teenagers now either. I'm talking about anybody across the board. I could be stereotyped because I'm old. I could be stereotyped because I'm white. I could be stereotyped because I'm a nerd. I could be stereotyped for all these things. And if that the people that stereotype me, if they've been hurt by that stereotype, I have no problem with saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that that hurt you. I'm sorry that you got hurt by that. And I'm really
Yeah.
sorry. And without an agenda, I'm sorry. But once you throw the but in there, it almost negates the whole apology. I'm sorry, but I really need you to. Um, and so if you want to be a big deal or be seen as a big deal, then sometimes just
Let's
simply
clarify
ask
the big deal
questions.
thing, because you're not saying like ego. You're saying like
Right.
an influencer.
I'm
Like
I'm valuable. I have something to offer.
right,
I'm a human being. I'm
right,
important. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of respect. But if I go in and demand that respect, I'm probably not going to get it. But if I give respect, that's when I'm going to get it.
right.
Probably.
And that's exactly what I hear this generation saying is they're looking at us generally. They're not looking at you. They're not looking at me. They're looking at us generally. And I have to fight that. That's just the way it goes. I don't have I don't wear a billboard on my head going, I'm not like the other guys, right? I can't,
Right.
you want to, right?
And
But
what
you
does that do?
can't.
When you do that, you are the other guys then at that point,
Right.
right? If you try telling somebody, listen, I'm not a thief. What how that politician did it a long time ago? They just say, even if it's false, the fact that you said it, now they're thinking, I am a thief, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
if I'm not one of those guys and I'm holding the sign up, well, instead of holding the sign up, let's just read their sign. Let's find out why they're feeling the way they're feeling.
So what's their sign? They're looking at our generation. They're looking at adults in general going, like, and especially these kids now because they're online and you can't hide the bad stuff anymore like we used to. What if you're younger and you're watching this? What we didn't grow up with was the backstage. We never saw the backstage. We couldn't. There was no way for us to see the backstage. It was all polish. Everything was polish because there was no online videos that we could go look at and confessions from the big celebrities that got called out. There wasn't any of that stuff. It was like we saw the show. We saw the show and you had to accept the show on its merits or not. And so what you have that we didn't have, and I'm kind of jealous of, is that you have the woke movement. I'm not a big woker guy. I think that it's gone way too far. But the part of it that's good is that you can't put on a show anymore, right? And you have to be authentic. You have to be real. Churches are being exposed like crazy right now. Celebrities are being exposed. The Epstein thing. All these things are being exposed, and these kids, Steve, are looking at it going, who can I trust? Because we're in a generation right now, or we're in a time of life where a lot of authority type things like church, like politics, like celebrities are being exposed for who they really are. I put yourself in the shoes of a Gen Zer right now going, what adult can I trust? So when Mike
Right.
Donahue trots up there with a microphone and goes, hey, don't self-medicate, value yourself. Why should I listen to him? He's an adult. He was part of that thing. That's now I get defensive. I want to go, no, I never been on the island. I don't know. I wasn't that guy, but they don't see it that way. And that's not fair. It's not fair. It isn't fair. But I feel like, and I could be wrong on this, I feel like it's my obligation. If I want to influence this generation, then I've got to build a bridge to them and say, I understand why you don't trust me. Let me show you in relationship that I'm not like that, that you can trust me. And you can't demand it. Like you said earlier, if you demand it, you're falling right into the same trap.
You lose
But
it.
you got to command it with your care. You got to command it with authenticity. You got to command it with listening to them. You got to command it by understanding where they're coming from and not treating them like babies.
Yeah, so true. So true. And, on the one hand, you can say, that be the adult, right? But a 15-year-old is a young adult as well, right? So if you're the older one, then act like the older one, show some maturity. But even if you're the younger one, listen, if somebody is not being the mature one, then you be the mature one, right? If someone is not being, who cares if they're older than you? Who cares if they should be this or they should be that? I'm not responsible for how people respond to me, but I'm responsible for how I respond to them. So if respect isn't being given, if you plant it, you harvest it, right? So if
Right.
you want respect, then plant respect. And if it's not being given, then take the high road, as difficult as it is. I don't always do it by any means. I want to be that person that no matter how I'm respected or disrespected, I want to give respect back. But someone has got to be the one and to say I'm sorry. And those are words that, I mean, in my opinion, this generation that we're talking about here, they're looking at our generation going, "What about that?" And the
Right.
moment I say yes, but, right? The moment I say I'm sorry, but let me tell you the whole story, well, the sorry just goes right out the window. Sometimes
Yeah.
I think what they're, and I love your input on this, since you speak to kids all the time, students all the time, but sometimes I think what they just really want to hear is, "I'm sorry, that was wrong. Not that was wrong, but that was wrong.
I've been
You're right.
guilty of that.
That was
I've
wrong."
been guilty of that with my own kids. I wanted to like give my resume after, I'm sorry, you're right, I was wrong, but here's why I did it, and I've had to eat those words because they don't want to hear that. They want to hear I'm sorry, and then I also don't think it's a good idea. There always is two sides of the story. So um the but shouldn't be, but I did this because, and it was justified because of this. Sometimes it's but, it is but, because you're like, there's two sides to it. So I did this, but it was in response to what you did. Um, and so let's talk about that too. And let's you own your stuff, I'll own my stuff, and I'll say sorry for how I reacted. I shouldn't have reacted that way no matter what, but I did. And then let's talk about the interaction. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with that either, because sometimes kids, and I'll just speak to this generation, they do like to be victims. They do like to be like, well, look what, because you did this, I have no responsibility. No, you still, you're an adult. You're getting to be an adult, so you've got to own some of your part of it too. And that's all of my relationships, including mine with you. We've had to look at each other and say I'm sorry, like, and go, hey, yep, I crossed the line there. I just had to email a guy a couple days ago that I crossed the line with, and said, hey, I blew it, I'm sorry. There's nothing. Yeah, you're right. I think we need to be able to do that.
Yeah, instead of the yes, but, maybe it needed to be yes, and.
Right, there you
Yes,
go. Yeah.
and I feel this way. Yes,
Right.
and I can see where you're coming from. Yes, and there's another side of that story as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of yes, but, yes, and, because the but tends to say that doesn't matter anymore. That
Yeah.
apology doesn't matter anymore because I got something else more important to say.
Yeah. And I
And
think,
I think and seems to say, I'm listening. I heard you.
right.
I'm listening to you.
Yeah. I think also, like, what kind of going back to your point about the insecurity we feel on the inside when we don't feel respected, we don't feel like we're honored. We have to check ourselves and go, why? Like,
Yeah.
is my ego, or is my identity wrapped up in how you treat me? Because immediately, if that's the truth, then
Can you say
our
that again, Mike? Can you say
so
that again about identity?
if my identity is wrapped up in how you treat me, that means that my values based on my performance, my values based on what you think of me instead of what I know about me. And that's why we can't listen sometimes, because we need you to treat us with respect, because if you don't, it's going to bruise me too bad. I'm not going to be able to handle it. That tells me right there that that adult needs to go back to that value piece and go, I'm valuable because I'm breathing, not because I perform. Right, because kids feel that, they feel that you need them to respond to them in a certain way, so they shut down. They're not going to give it to you because it's too weird, it's wacky, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you need me to like you. Why do you need me to like you, adult? Like, aren't you secure in yourself enough to like yourself? You need me to like you, you need me to honor you. Like that's where that communication piece gets weird too, I think. Right.
Yeah. If I need you to, that is so good. If my identity is wrapped up into what you feel about me, I'm going to be a pretty insecure person the rest of my life. You
Right.
know, I would
100%.
also say this too. I had a professor come to me when I was in college, and he was bothered by something I did. It hurt his feelings that I wasn't doing the work in a certain or whatever. And I never thought about that before. I always thought he's an adult, he's good, he's legitimate, he's a college professor, he should be good. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you're picking up nothing else from this, we all have insecurities here and there, right? And how we respond to people can either pull those insecurities out, can make them grow, or they can. Well, that's wrong. My insecurity is my responsibility. Like you said, if I allow your words to make that, but what I guess I'm trying to say is that words can hurt, and just because someone should be so insecure, we just realize that every one of us, we struggle in our mind with ourselves sometimes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe even a lot of times, and just realizes that we're all human beings, and just because we're older doesn't mean we've necessarily conquered all these things that maybe we should have. Is that making sense? What I'm trying to say there?
100%. It goes back to this cup, right? If I shake the cup, water comes out. If it's full of water, someone's going to say, well, why the water come out? It's because you shook it. No, it's because there was water in there to begin with. And so the water in there to begin with is what we need to pay attention to. Is if somebody makes me insecure by what they say, I can correct what they say, like, make sure that everybody around me says the right thing so the water doesn't come out. Well, why don't I just deal with the water that's in there, like the
Right,
insecurity that's in there? You know what I mean? Like, because
right.
then you can shake me. Then things, um, don't rattle me. Like, they don't. People are gonna shake you. They're gonna treat you. There's sometimes I walk into an assembly and I could see right away the disconnect, like kids, and I do some things to make it so it's, you know, so they know that I'm not like that. But sometimes, no matter what I do, there's a kid that just not he just doesn't want to listen, doesn't care, and I can let that rattle me, or I can just go, that's the way it is. It's not my fault. I don't need him to like me, right? I would like him to hear me, but if it's not in the cards, it's not in the cards.
Yeah,
It's not my responsibility. It doesn't mean I'm a bad guy. His response to my life and my knowledge doesn't doesn't deter me either way.
yeah,
I'm gonna put out my knowledge, and whether
yeah,
he hears it or not, one of the things I do actually teach teachers is that every in a school you have bottles, you have cups, you have bowls. We all love talking to bowls because, if I took water and I spilled it out into those three vessels, obviously the bowl's going to take in more. I love talking to bowls. I had a leadership meeting yesterday where they're all bowls. They're just snapping off stuff. They're listening. They're understanding what I'm saying because they have the capacity to hear it, right? Because they're in a good place in their life. They're learners. They probably got good families. They're healthy people. We all love talking to them, right? But then you get the cups who are on and off again. That's how I look at cups. Is they're on and off again. They're sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off, right? Because they have bad things going on at home, or they have other distractions that are keeping them from hearing, assimilating truth, right, or information. And then you've got bottles that are very hard to put water into, because you have to aim it directly in there. You got to take your time to put water in a bottle. You can't just spill it out, right? And so what's the obligation of a teacher or a communicator? Is that just to put the information out there? Yeah, anybody can do that, right? No, it's using relationship to get a bottle to expand to a cup, and get a cup to expand to a bowl. How do you do that? You do that by understanding. You do that by relationship. You do that by helping them see that you really do care about them. You really do care about them. And when that comes across, you feel the expansion. You feel them go, "Oh, I'll take the AirPods. I like what this guy's saying." Like, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that's the best part of my job. That to me is the best part, when I see the expansion. And I go, "Oh, they want to hear this."
Yeah.
I love
And
tough
I don't,
kids. I love the kids that are like, like
yeah.
like when you first come in, and at the end of it, they're coming down going, "Dude, that was great."
Yep.
I
Yep.
love that.
And I don't know if your illustration breaks down at this point, but what I get in my head is some bottles hold a lot more than bowls do. And if you will take the time and the patience
It's a
to
good point.
pour
Never heard it that
into
way.
that life, but you can't see bowls, you can just run a program and then the bowls get what they get. And you're like, well, those kids, they wanted it. Those adults, they wanted it. Those guys didn't. So just too bad. No, they've been squeezed off because of what has happened in their life, because of
Right.
past trauma, because of all sorts of things. Right.
Yeah.
But if we will take, the good mentors, are the ones that will take that person as an individual, take and pour their life into them. And if you do that, that is going to hold even way more. And one day they're going to open up to other people, become more of a bowl.
That's
But
you just
the bottle's necessary too. And it
You
just
just
takes
described
more
my life. You
patience.
just described my life, because I was a bottle, and I had some people put into me, and now I get to pour it all over the place. I get, because I'm in a healthier place. But I was a bottle. I'm not now. I'm a bowl. I want to learn. I want to grow. But I wasn't there. Somebody helped me expand, and that's really honest. You just described the 100% motivation of why I do what I do, because I am the kid that sat there going, "F you." Go. I don't trust you. Don't try to tell me how to live my life. Right. I never trusted assembly programs. They were stupid. But we had the dumb ones. We had the old hippie that was like, "Boys and girls, I did drugs." And we were always like, "Today? Like, are you stoned right now?" Like, they was so stupid, right? All the drug-free puppy lady, that came in with the puppies, and you know, these are drug-free puppies. Okay. Bring the stoned ones out. That'll be kind of fun to watch. Anyways, this is stupid. They was just so stupid because they were patronizing. They were like, "We don't like your behavior. We're going to show you why it's wrong. Please change for us." And I never trusted their motive. I always thought it was to make a better society, and you just wanted to be cleaned up. You didn't care about why I got there. Like, why am I a bowl? Why am I a bottle right now? Why am I closed off to your information? I'm not going to listen to your crap. Like, that's the way my attitude was. So when I go into a school and I see those kids, oh, dude, it's like I'm a magnet to them. Like, I just love them, because they're like me. They're like, "No, I really do care about life, but I don't care about the BS. I don't care about you telling me how to live my life. I'm not going to listen to that." So when you get to cut through that noise, oh, dude, there's nothing like that in my
Yeah,
my
and
opinion.
back in the day when they did assemblies and stuff like that, or even to this day when things like happen, that not even necessarily in school assemblies, but we come in with our picture of knowledge and we just pour it out. We say, "I did my job." Well, if they didn't receive it, did you do this so you got paid, or did you do this because you want them to learn? Right? It takes love, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes some skill to pour that pitcher into a bottle versus pouring it out. And I can't remember what language it is, but I read this somewhere that there's a certain language that doesn't have two different words for teach and learn. It's one word. In
Wow.
other words, if you're not learning, I'm not really teaching. I could say I taught, he just didn't get it. Well, if you didn't get it, then I'm not really teaching. And I think that comes full circle to what we started in the very beginning here, where we can, if we'll take the time and love and respect and listen, because then we have something to give to them. But that woman on the ski hill, she got a platform with you because she served you, because she did something kind, because she had no reason to. She bought that water herself. She gave you that water out of the goodness of her heart, and because of that love, that attention, she was given a platform that she was able to share her big dealness.
Yeah.
So,
Her influence, her
yeah,
true influence, which, yeah.
yeah,
Well, this has been good, Steve. What a good
good convo.
podcast, man. I was a little worried
Yeah,
about this one, but it turned out to be a goodie.
agreed. Thank you, everyone who's listens and likes and subscribes and all this stuff and gives these two old white men a chance. We really appreciate it. And we hope you have a fantastic week.
Yeah, yeah. All right, buddy. Love you, Steve. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.